Well, hey, hi, hello. I'm back. I made it to my living room. How exciting is that? I think it's pretty exciting. I was going to do a little stretching and strengthening in the Head Hutt, but then I remembered I set up my massage stuff in there. It's been a whirlwind of a week or two, and I'm happy to have a few minutes in my own living room to just do a quick checking in with the body. And as usual, invite you to join me if you feel like it, to whatever degree you feel like it. I remind you, it's always a good time to shake off some stress and take a deep breath. Shake it off. I'm going to keep this relatively short and sweet, I think. I'm going to start with a breath or so to just bring my attention into the bottoms of my feet. We'll navigate the lightning here as best we can. Also, the talking thing, I'm a little out of practice, but I bet I'll pick it back up. Just a couple breaths here, rooting myself into the center of the earth, hanging myself from the center of the sky, swinging the arms a little bit. And I'm going to take a nice slow roll down, checking in with the spine all the way, just seeing where it's supple, where it's sticky, where it's stiff, coming all the way down past the waist to the hips, and just hanging here. See if I can get the lighting to adjust. Maybe, maybe not. Taking a nice relaxing breath down here. Let's do just a little gentle twisting over to the left and over to the right and back to center. I'm going to bend the knees a little bit, swing the arms back and come into a counter stretch, pushing those hips forward, lifting the eyes, lifting the chest, getting a nice little back bend the other way. And then I'm going to swan dive down, this time with a relatively flat back. Coming down again from the hips. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. And again, hanging here from the hips. Just letting gravity do the unwinding, loosening everything up. Let's roll up this time nice and slow. Just stacking each vertebra on the next. Still just checking in, noticing where it's supple, where it's stiff, where it's sticky. Bringing the arms up overhead again, raising the eyes and the chest. Just getting a little counter stretch. I'm going to swan dive one more time down with a relatively flat back. Making sure not to lock these knees, coming all the way down again. Past the waist to the hips. And this time I'm going to pull up and back from the waist, pulling up in the pelvic floor, back in the abdomen, left elbow over right. Giving myself a nice hug, pulling these shoulder blades apart, giving the shoulders, whatever these things are, shoulders, a nice squeeze, a little massage here. Just giving myself a nice hug and really pulling up in the waist for contrast from the hips, rounding the spine. And then I'm going to release all that again from the hips, coming all the way down past the waist. Just hanging here. And then I'm going to come up this time, right elbow over left for another self-hug, pulling up in the pelvic floor, back in the abdomen, rounding the spine, pulling the shoulder blades away from each other. Just giving myself a nice good morning hug, a midday hug. Soon to be an afternoon hug. And one more time, releasing all that from the hips. I'm going to walk these feet out just a little bit and do a little hip tilting. Ooh, those legs are stiff. You may have noticed I have not been keeping up with my regular stretching and strengthening. Been doing other stuff though, so it's all good. But I'm happy to be able to take this quick opportunity for a little of the more usual. Just tilting one side or the other gets a nice stretch here in the inner thigh. Doing that from a forward fold at first, and then I'm going to actually turn both feet over to the left, forward folding, over that left leg, aiming my chin for my toes. And then back to center. I'll turn this way, see if that helps. I don't know. And then over to the right, draping the body over that right leg. The nice long spine, and just trying to bend still from the hip. Getting a nice stretch on that side, and then shifting both feet back forward. Using the hands on the legs a little bit here to pull and look behind me. Increasing that fold. Give the body a nice check. Just giving the backs of the knees a little love. Backs of ankles a little love. Coming around, give the toes a little love. I'll put the hands on the floor, walk these feet more under the hips. And increase that forward fold a little bit. And then rolling back up. Just stacking each vertebra on the next. I've got my painting shorts on. It's the warmest I've been in a couple weeks. I just shake that out a little bit. I've been up in the snow of Colorado. Let's do some deep breathing in, looking up, and then I'm going to do that a couple more times, and then add a little circle up here, stepping back to the left. Whoosh. Just brushing that energy back, and again, circle up top, stepping to the right. Whoosh. It's just a little modified Qigong, I guess I would call it. Just bringing my awareness into the body playfully and also intentionally, rooting myself here in the center, and then just letting go of stress, rooting and letting go. Coming back to center. Just shake all that out a little bit. Let's step back with the left foot into a nice moderate lunge, pushing that back heel down. I would scooch this table over, but I still have guests staying here who could show up any minute. I'm allowed to be in my own living room when I have guests here, but I generally try to stay out of sight, out of mind. So it's like I'm sneaking around in my own living room. Pulling this back, hip forward, forward, hip back. Looking for a perpendicular line with the hips, parallel lines with the feet. Trying to make sure I'm not crunch past the toes with this front knee. And just enjoying a nice strong warrior pose or lunge, moderate lunge here. Still working to keep those hips perpendicular to the parallel feet. I said that just a second ago. I'm going to push onto the diagonal line, just feeling for that energy out the heel, through the spine, out the fingertips, checking not to crunch up in those shoulders. Remembering to breathe and smile. Or you can alternate, try scowling and holding your breath and see how that feels in comparison. Compare and contrast, and then you decide. I'm going to shift this back heel forward a little bit onto the perpendicular line now, opening the hips, swinging this knee out, swinging this hip open, checking out this side plane here. And then I'm going to slide that back foot out a little bit more and come into a side twisting triangle lunge aeroplane pose. I'm using my right arm and leg against each other for torque and support, making sure not to collapse in that leg or the supporting side, and then gazing up past those left fingertips, giving all those organs a nice little ringing out, a hello, a squeeze. They're a little stiff after sitting all day in the car. I'm going to bring this arm around the back to increase that twist, reaching for this opposite thigh, and then gazing up past that long leg. Spring is all the way sprung out here. It's still winter up in the mountains where I just was. It's interesting to compare and contrast. I do like the contrast and the clarity. And unwind all of that and bring this arm down on the inside of this right leg, putting weight on both hands and really getting a little deeper into this lunge here before bringing this front foot back to meet the back foot, pressing through the palms, through the spine. I don't know what that sound was. Pressing into both heels. Tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head. And then I'm going to swing the body forward, lifting the chest through the shoulders, keeping the legs together, dropping the belly, just getting a nice stretch through the whole front of the belly, the whole front of the body. Really trying to relax in the belly, lifting the eyes and the chest. Add a little tongue stretch there. Sometimes I like to rock on those toes just a little bit. Kind of vary that stretch up through the low back and the belly. And then I'm going to push through the palms, lifting the hips into a nice little bit deeper downward facing dog. Again, tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head. Pressing into those heels. And then swinging the left foot forward in between the hands for a nice deep lunge. I like to give that a little bounce. You bounce if you like to bounce, or don't bounce if it doesn't feel good to bounce. I encourage you to always be listening to your own body, hopefully lovingly communicating with yourself. I'm going to step forward with this back foot and hang here again in a forward fold. Just relaxing the back, relaxing the belly, relaxing the head and neck, just letting gravity do the unwinding again. And then I'm going to roll up, stacking one vertebra on the next again. Just checking in. Shake all that out a little bit. Then I'm going to step back with the other side. Stepping back with the right foot. Pressing into that heel. Checking that this front knee is not crunching past the toes. I get those wad keys out of my pocket. Pulling forward with the back hip. Back with the forward hip. Tipping the tailbone under, looking for a nice long strong line through the core, supported with the abdomen and the spine, and all those fine muscles there. Just enjoying that upright warrior pose, making sure not to crunch up in those shoulders, lifting the arms, and then I'm going to push onto that diagonal line, feeling for energy out the heel, still pulling that back hip forward, forward hip back, through the spine, out the fingertips, still try not to crunch up in those shoulders. And then swinging that back heel forward a little bit onto the perpendicular line, opening the hips now, swinging this knee out, opening this opposite hip. Just checking out that side plane, and then I'm going to slide this back foot out a little, bringing this left arm down on the inside of the left leg for a twisting side triangle. Lifting the right arm and looking past those fingertips, making sure not to collapse in the supporting side. Using that arm and leg against each other for torque and support. Giving all those organs a nice squeeze the other way. I'm bringing this arm around to increase that squeeze, looking out past that long leg. Giving everybody a ringing out, a hello. Checking in. We're doing pretty good, I gotta say. It's all right in there, all things considered. Unwinding all that and bringing this arm down on the inside of this left leg, rotating onto that back toe a little bit. Enjoying that deep lunge here on the inside of that leg, and then bringing weight onto both hands. Bringing that front foot back to meet the back foot. And again, pressing into what's often called downward facing dog. Pressing into those heels, pressing the heart toward the center of the earth. Tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head. Getting a nice stretch through the front of the body and the backs of the legs. Try to release through the belly. Nice and strong and firm in the palms. Then I'm going to swing the chest forward through the shoulders. Lifting the eyes, lifting the chest, keeping those legs together, butt together, and just letting the belly drop. Making sure not to collapse in the chest. Again, helps to make a funny noise there and stretch the tongue out. And I like to give a little rock. Hi, Jeffrey. I almost couldn't read your name there. It's good to see you. Hope you're taking good care of you. I'm going to lift these hips and push back again. Through the palms, through the spine, tipping the tailbone to the back of the head. Pressing into both those heels. Let's increase that a little, bending the right knee. Pressing into the left. Bending the left, pressing into the right. And again, pressing more into the left. And pressing more into the right. And then pressing into both heels. Really working to tip the tailbone. Pressing the heart toward the earth. And swinging this right foot forward in between the hands for a nice deep lunge on this side. Again, I like to add a little bounce. We're almost through one half of a sun salutation. I like to think I'll get back to whole sun salutations, maybe even 2 or 3 rounds in the near future again. Stepping forward with that back foot, I'm going to hang here. Just letting the spine unwind. Bend the knees, swing the arms back, coming into a counter stretch. Pushing the hips forward, lifting the eyes and chest. Enjoying a nice back bend. And coming back to center. Neutral. Let's shake all that out. It feels good to get back to stretching, and I feel like I could do this for another hour or so. But I'm going to wrap it up because I got so much to get done. Bringing my weight onto my right leg. Bringing this left knee up toward left shoulder. Let's give a quick ankle check. One way and then the other way. And I'm going to reach for the bottom of this foot. Enjoying a nice stretch through those shoulders for a little bit. And then pulling back with those shoulders. Relaxing that supporting foot. Tipping the tailbone under, straightening that leg as much as possible for a forward fold, standing in the air. I'm going to release with the right and bring this out to the left. Still trying not to counter lean, just exploring that hip socket a little bit. It's been a while. Feels good to check in with that. Let's do a quick movement of peace, bringing this foot in close to the groin, balancing on that supporting side again, relaxing that supporting foot, swinging this knee outward, tipping the tailbone under, nice and long and strong through the core, still hanging from the sky, rooted into the center of the earth. Imagine myself a young, flexible tree on a snow-melting mountain. Release that, stomp it out a little bit, and bringing weight onto the left, bring the right knee up toward right shoulder. Again, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing that supporting side. Let's give a quick ankle check on that side for good measure. And then again, relaxing the toes of that supporting side, reaching for the bottom of this foot, enjoying a nice stretch through the shoulders and arms, pushing with the foot a little bit, and then pulling back with the shoulders and arms, tipping the tailbone under, relaxing that supporting side, and straightening that leg as much as possible. Forward fold in the air on the other side. And releasing with the left. I'm going to bring that out to the right. Just noticing how the two sides are different, how the balance varies, and the range of motion varies, and the strength varies, the feelings vary. Bending that and setting it down and close to the groin. Still looking for a nice long line, supported from the core of the earth, all the way hanging from the center of the sky. Swinging this knee out, tipping the tailbone under. Relaxing that supporting foot. And again, imagining myself a young, flexible tree on a snow-covered mountain, the sun shining, melting all that snow. Let that go and stomp it out. Wow! I'm going to do just a little arm circling, bring it all together here. Nice and quick before I get on with my triple book today. Let's do some big arm circles. Breathing in on the way up and then squeezing all that air out. Just a couple more of those. Filling the lungs, expanding, and then squeezing all that air out. Shaking it off. One more. Bending the knees. Lifting the eyes and chest. Filling the lungs. Holding, and then just letting all that air fall out of the lungs and then squeezing it out a little bit more. Shake all that out a bit. I hope whatever you're into, that you're remembering to be good to you because you're worth it. Good to your body because it's the one thing you can't really get through this life without. It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Ciao for now.